good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of The Buzz, the program that serves you daily juice on what's trending on social media. It's the start of a brand new week, and this is the very first edition of The Buzz for this week. My name is Patience Bello Kafo. I welcome you to the program today. My partner is here, Alero. Good afternoon, Alero.
Hi, Patience. Good afternoon.
How was your weekend?
Very well, rested, and back to work.
Back to work.
Yes.
Very eventful weekend, I dare say, for me personally and also for Nigeria, historically speaking. But before we go into all of that, let's quickly introduce our panel at the table this afternoon. We have our constant Monday medicine. Is that what it's called? Tony. He's always here on Mondays, and really we always appreciate it. He is a public relations consultant. He's also a social commentator and an astute businessman, Mr. Ikem Okuhu. Good afternoon, Mr. Ikem.
Good afternoon. Once again, my pleasure to be here, and I am glad today that Alero didn't complain about traffic and the rains.
And the weather. She didn't complain about the weather today.
Mr. Ikem.
All right, and also we have a first timer on the program this afternoon, and yes, we hope he will fast become a regular as well. He's former president, Association of Nollywood Co-Producers, ANCO. He's also, well, a renowned filmmaker and a politician, Mr. Alex Eyengo. Good afternoon, Mr. Alex.
Thank you.
Did I pronounce your name well?
Eyengo.
Eyengo. The G is silent. Forget about the G.
Oh, wow. Are you from Benin?
No, Delta.
Shakiri. Oh, okay. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, as I was saying, it was quite a very eventful weekend. I mean, news broke out on Sunday about the demise of one of Nigeria's finest in terms of reggae music. Historically, he will go down in the annals of history as someone who was loved by the people. Just when conscious reggae, you know, was in vogue, he was like a pioneer, always speaking the minds of the people, using reggae music as a vehicle. But then he's passed on, and we're talking about none other but Dub Master himself, Raskimonu. Okudili Onwubuya, that's his real name. He's passed on. According to available reports, he slumped at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos on Saturday while waiting to board a flight. He claimed he wasn't feeling very fine before then, but I think he was just trying to see if he could travel. But then he slumped at the airport, and he was rushed to a nearby clinic in Ikeja. And from there, he was rushed to another hospital in Ikoyi, I think Lagoon Hospital in Ikoyi, and that's where he passed on Sunday morning. The late Raskimonu was a native of Onitsha, Olona in the Aniocha North local government area of Delta State. And just last month, on the 10th of May, actually, he celebrated his 60th birthday. He was also recently elected as one of the board members for the Copyright Society of Nigeria, COSON, as a director. I mean, this leaves like a bad taste in my mouth, because I don't know, you know, the tribute I wrote for him on Facebook today, I saw him, you know, like a few days to his birthday, just here in the office here. Yeah. Yes, you know, and he was his usual bubbly self.
Lively.
You know, well, that's life.
And funny enough, Premier Records were actually preparing for his 35 years on stage, and I got a call this morning from Mike Audio, and it was like they were preparing for 35 years on stage for Raskimonu, not even a burial ceremony.
You know, away from him being a renowned reggae artist, you know, for people who know him personally, you'll be told he's very humble, very playful, and very empathic, you know, empathetic rather, as a human being, you know. He's one of the most easygoing people I've ever met in the course of my career, and this is a huge loss for me personally. I've been holding back the tears, but I wept this morning, finally. But we'll pray that the good Lord will rest his soul. All right, to kickstart the show this morning, just as a way of paying him some respect, we'll show a quick clip of him at his 60th birthday, which was actually last month. And then we'll play one of his songs. This one is actually one of my favorite, Under Pressure by Raskimonu. We'll be back after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, is on stage with Raskimonu and Joe Morgan.
Daddy Pistolas right here. Good evening, sir. How you doing, sir?
How are you?
So what are your wishes for Raskimonu today?
Wish him all the best. Wish him more strength. And I mean, he's an enigma in this business. He's done very well. Wish him all the best. We're very proud of him. Like you heard one of those who spoke say, he made us play his music. He made us begin to listen to Nigerian music. Fantastic.
Prosperity, a happy home. You will not bury your children. You will always find favor, and grace shall abide with you to the end of your days. For he is a jolly good fellow, for he is a jolly good fellow, for he is a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us, and so say all of us, and so say all of us. For he is a jolly good fellow, for he is a jolly good fellow, for he is a jolly good fellow.
Here today, and it clocks 50 today. Happy birthday.
Thank you so very much.
I wish you long life and prosperity. I wish you everything good in life. But today you are here to celebrate Raskimonu. What are your wishes for him?
Oh well, first I came to see how it feels to be 60. I know I'm going to be there in 10 years, and I wouldn't have come if not because he's somebody that has done something when he was young and is still doing it. He's passing on something that is very important. That music is for life. The kind of music that is playing is
people, they must suffer. In a ghetto, in a city, everywhere that me go, me see them. Some are cry, some are die, some are weeping, some are wailing. Everywhere that me go, under pressure we will, under pressure everybody, under pressure black and white, under pressure Europeans, under pressure. Can't get no food if you go feel with belly. Philippine you too, no have no mother. Philippine you too, no have no father. Philippine you too, no have no brother. Philippine you too, no have no sister. I'm a kimono, me just chatting to you. Chanta this I want me not go chat it all day. Hey, under pressure we will, under pressure Europeans, under pressure Africans, under pressure Nigerians, under pressure.
Welcome back. All right, that's our own little tribute to the late Raskimonu. Mr. Ikem.
Well, for me, it's a major loss, not just in the Nigerian arts community, but for all of us that grew up listening to him. I encountered Raskimonu, I think, towards the end of my secondary school when himself and Oriswiliki just emerged in the scene. And because I grew up in my mind, that was a core root rock reggae fan. So I grew up till now. I am still more in tune with reggae than any other form of music. So I got so attached to him for the strength of his messaging. And if you understand reggae for what reggae stands for, you can't afford not to love those who sacrifice everything to propagate that genre of music. Some years down the line, I just saw a friend request, and I saw Raskimonu. And you know, those were the days when people send all manner of requests, 419 people, and I said, Raskimonu sending me a friend request. So I went to Messenger and asked him, is it the kimono I know? He said, yeah, rude boy. So, and I spoke my bit of to him, and we became friends on Facebook. Comment on his own. And yesterday when I heard in the morning, I did my own tribute to him, and I just told him to go to Selassie and rest, man.
Yeah. Mr. Alex.
Well, it's sad that we are starting on a sad note, and it had to be Raskimonu, who happens to be from my state, Delta State. I know it to that extent, and it's a big loss to the creative industry, to Nigeria, and to Delta State specifically, because that's where it comes from. And because he's a creator of his own brand of reggae music. It's not just the normal reggae music. So he's a creator, he's a legend.
Yeah.
And I want the federal government to see it from that perspective, because these are some of the persons in the creative industry who have deepened our brand, who have been able to put us in that global space in the music sector. So I hope that the federal government will do something for the family, the Delta State government
especially
will do something for the family and the creative industry. You know, the various sectors, Koson, P-Man, will do something about him. It's a great loss. We miss him greatly.
So rest in peace.
Amen. All right, so I mean, life, when someone dies, it reminds us how fleeting and may his soul continue to rest in peace. It's just it. Okay, moving on to our program today, 0708-740-7508. That's the number to join us on the program for today. And the first topic says disco's threaten mass disconnection. The House of Representatives has begun the process of prescribing the issuance of estimated bills to consumers by electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, a bill seeking to amend the Electricity Power Reform Act by the Majority Leader Femi Gbajabiamila and others successfully scaled the second reading on the floor on Tuesday. Now, the import of this is, if this act is passed, every Nigerian electricity consumer must be provided with a prepaid meter, thereby would no longer have to pay for electricity not consumed. Now, in response, the Executive Director, Research and Advocacy Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, Sunday Oduton, says the power sector would be adversely affected if the National Assembly passes the bill to criminalize estimated billing. All right, let's take the footage of the reps, members actually talking about this particular issue, and then we'll be back to the table.
What I just want to add here is that the federal government has even given the DISCOs 213 billion intervention fund. Despite all this, my community is not connected to the national grid for the past 7 years because of these same estimated billings. Then today, they will tell you, I'm surprised that Godaje is talking about houses paying 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira in Kando. The minimum we pay in my community, some of the other villages around, is 8,000 naira. For farmers, they cannot buy paracetamol, Mr. Speaker, that is sold for 10 naira. There are farmers, you say they should come and pay 8,000 naira. Then what they do, when you can pay 1,000 naira, they say, okay, they give you life for 2-3 days in a month. Then they are saying the community is owing 100 million naira. A community that cannot produce 1 millionaire. People that go to farm and you tell them to pay 8,000 naira. When they pay 1,000 naira, you say they are owing that bill. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill 200%. It should be criminalized. They are taking us for a ride. There's been a picture trending on the internet. There's a house in Ghana, a mud house with prepaid meter. Mud houses. Now, you give light to villages. When you travel the highway in Nigeria, you see there are light points on during the day. And then the minister is talking about we are losing energy. Why will we not lose it? Because the DISCOs will deliberately do that. Now, if I'm to pay an estimated bill, why should I bother? I told my uncle once, the light is on during the day. What are you doing with this light now? He said I should leave it. Whether they leave it on or off, they're going to pay 1,000 naira. That was even in the days of PHCN. Not even now. We are not on the national grid.
Welcome back. All right, gentlemen, that is like the reality for a lot of Nigerians today, what that man said there. But then the DISCOs are saying if this bill pushes through, there will be mass disconnection of customers who don't have meters. And I dare say that the majority of Nigerians do not have prepaid meters. And also, they won't be able to collect money for electricity consumed from those who don't have meters, you know. Anyways, Mr. Ikem, what you say about this?
You know, there are certain things that annoy me in this country. Each time an industry is put under pressure for ripping off Nigerians, they find a way, even those who are competition, to gather under one umbrella to push for their demand. It happened when the local content in the oil industry started. They changed it to Nigerian content. The multinational oil companies gathered in under an umbrella called Oil Producers Trade Section, and were pushing to frustrate Nigerian content bill very strongly then. This one, you are seeing electricity producers or whatever, or distributors, I don't even know how to classify these guys, coming together to tell us why the estimated bill should continue. Yeah. These are the people that use phones that pay per second bill, you know, and who were in this country when all of us were quarreling with MTN and then Econet.
Yes.
For charging us 15 naira per minute. These are people who won't spend, who don't buy diesel wholesale.
Not having, sorry to interject, not having a meter is an illegality, and they are